Hey everyone, my name is Ross Campbell. Welcome to my channel and to the latest installment of Spicy Licks. Today's lick is something that I took from a solo I played in a recent video of mine called Why You Should Bend Out of Tune Sometimes. It's a fast-paced minor pentatonic blues scale lick that was influenced by the pentatonic approaches of Phil X and Joe Bonamassa. So it's something that you might want to try out the next time you find yourself in a guitar store. You may have noticed that I'm using my fingers for this and not a pick, and that's really just because I have been binging on Jared James Nichols videos recently, and he of course doesn't use a pick, so I enjoy the challenge of trying different things out and playing licks like this one without the use of a pick. All that being said though, you could absolutely choose to play this with a pick if you wanted to. Now if you're new to my channel, how these Spicy Licks videos generally work is I'll take you through the entire lick with tab and then come back to discuss the theory behind it, so that if you are music theory minded, you can take that information and use it to write similar licks of your own. If you are not familiar with fundamental music theory and how to apply it to guitar playing, but you want to be, feel free to check out the links to my online guitar courses in the description box beneath this video. So let's jump right into the lick itself and then come back to discuss the theory behind it. So you start with a slide into the 10th fret on the B string with your pinky, and you play this descending group of 5 down the A blues scale like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're hitting that flat 5 at fret 8 on the G string. Then after that, you're going to slide into fret 13 on the B string and play another descending group of 5 like so. And then you slide from 10 to 12 on the D string. And this is going to lead you straight into part 2 of the lick, but first let's recap on part 1 a couple more times. First group of 5, second group of 5, slide into the second part. Moving on to part 2, here's what it goes like. So here we've got more groups of 5, but this time they're ascending over multiple strings vertically. And I get more of a Joe Bonamassa vibe from these groups of 5, whereas the descending 5s that we played in part 1 were more Phil X style, concentrated on 2 strings at a time and moving horizontally up the fretboard. This part of the lick starts with 9 to 12 on the G string, and that leads us into the first ascending group of 5, starting at fret 12 on the D string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And fret 13 on the B string here, that's the last note in our first group of ascending 5s. So we then return to fret 12 on the G string and play the next group of ascending 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But to finish the lick, once we reach the last note in that group of 5, which is fret 12 on the high E, we slide all the way up to fret 17 and bend up a tone and a half, so that the note we're bending to is fret 20 up here. Here's part 1 of the lick once again. Here's part 2. And here's the full thing all together. Right, let's talk theory now. To be honest with you guys, there's nothing too complex going on here. If you're comfortable with minor pentatonic and blues scales, you'll at least be familiar with the general sound of this lick. But we can still look at the ways in which this lick moves over the fretboard and learn something valuable from that. So part 1, as I mentioned, had a fill X vibe to it because of those descending groups of 5 on 2 strings at a time. And what I mean by groups of 5 is literally 5 notes that are descending the scale. They're all going down the scale. It's not like I'm going down 3 and then up 2. That would no longer be a group of 5 notes. Note groupings, whether they're 3 notes, 5 notes, or 9, are all going in one direction or the other. They're entirely descending or entirely ascending. We had 2 of these descending groups of 5. The first one went like this. The second one went like this. But what's interesting about that is that even though each group of 5 is, as I've already said, descending, the second one takes us higher up the fretboard. You probably noticed that there was a position change there. So even though all the notes in each group of 5 are going down, we're still moving up the scale, if that makes sense. This is what you would call a horizontal movement. Because all of the notes in these groups of 5 are occurring on just 2 strings at a time, to get up or down, we have to move along the string this way, horizontally, as opposed to across multiple strings vertically, which is what happens in part 2 of the lick with the more Bonamassa sounding groups of 5. Now I want to give you guys something to work on for getting used to those fill X style groups of 5. So pick any 2 strings using the minor pentatonic scale in the key of A, for example. We're going to pick the G and B strings. So let's start in position 1 of the scale. Okay, our notes on the G and B strings are here. Those are the only notes that we're working with in that position of the scale. So for playing groups of 5, we obviously only have 4 notes in that position of the scale in this key. 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, we're sticking to just the G and B strings for now. So to get your 5th note, which is the note you're going to start on, you have to extend to 1 note beyond the position that you're in. For example, I would start my first group of 5 with this note here at fret 10 on the B string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this note is from position 2 of the A minor pentatonic scale. So it's like with every group of 5, you're borrowing a note that is from the next position up. So for example, starting in position 1, we borrowed a note from position 2. Then moving up to position 2, we need to borrow a note from position 3. Here's the notes in position 2. Here's the note we borrowed from position 3. And we do that on and on and on through all positions of the scale. And if you're comfortable with all positions of the minor pentatonic scale already, you'll be able to jump right into this. And when you're comfortable enough to do so, you can start doing it down the fretboard as well. And one cool thing to do when you're in position 1 of the scale, like we were down here, is to play the flat 5 of the blues scale on the G string, like so. Which is what we did in the lick. So instead of picking the perfect 4th in the minor pentatonic scale, which is this note here, you could pick a note that is a semitone higher than that, which is called the flat 5. And that just helps to add a bit of extra spice to the lick. Moving on to the second part of the lick, which sounds more like Joe Bonamassa's approach to using odd note groupings with pentatonic scales. As we just saw, Phil X tends to concentrate his pentatonic scale runs to 2 strings at a time, and what makes Joe Bonamassa's approach different is he seems to do a lot of vertical movement, moving across multiple strings at a time this way as opposed to horizontally, which we just saw with the Phil X examples. So in part 2 of the lick, we have 2 groups of ascending 5s this time. We're not descending, we're ascending across multiple strings vertically through position 3 of the A minor pentatonic scale, which looks and sounds like this. And here are the two groups of 5s that I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To get used to playing in groups of 5 vertically, just take any position of the minor pentatonic scale and move through it 5 notes at a time, like so. And I would recommend practicing that descending as well. And then when you're ready to, just move on to the next scale position until you've practiced all of them. So there you have it guys, a new spicy lick for you to impress people with the next time you find yourself in a guitar store, or preferably on a stage. I'm on Instagram at Ross Campbell Guitarist, so if you would like me to give you some feedback on your playing, post a clip of you playing this lick to Instagram, tag me in it and use the hashtag SpicyLicks to spread the word with other guitar players. If you learned something from this video and you feel like supporting the free content that I post here on YouTube, it'd be great if you could like this video, share it with your guitar playing friends, click subscribe and also hit the notifications bell so that you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.